We certainly want a kind of democracy that is based on the rule of law, responsibility and accountability. We want a kind of democracy where people's voices are not only heard during elections, but that their voices are integral to all decision-making process. We want a democracy where not only the majority rules, but the minority also has a fair share, their voices duly heard, and their interests equally recognized. In short, we're interested in the substance of democracy more than the form. The Thai people now come to appreciate that having constitutions, having political parties, having elections do not necessarily give them democracy. Democracy means much, much more than that. And to me, the only true kind of democracy is liberal democracy. And in a world where there is increased integration, openness, competition, and where more market forces will inevitably continue to dominate, liberal democracy appears to be the only kind of governance that is well suited to the changing economic and other environment at the global level. A month ago, I had the honor of speaking after the lecture given by Professor Stiglitz in Bangkok. Professor Stiglitz is now very well known and well liked by the people of Thailand. And I took an opportunity then to share my thoughts on how to make a progressive Thailand. I laid down some basic principles on how to bring the country to the next level. There are vital factors to making a new democratic society, and these principles can very well apply to many other countries aspiring for democracy. So let me go through some of those. First, our new democratic society must be responsive to people's needs, putting people first. Gone are the days where politics is a game played by a few, secret negotiations, lock rolling, whatever. The people now expect no less that when they cast their votes, that when they support political parties, they will get in return concrete policies that really matter to people's lives. And whatever the shortcomings of Thai democracy, it is extremely clear that the people now expect all governments to respond to their needs. And indeed, that is why when I assumed office and when we had to tackle the economic problems, I got the support of the people to have a somewhat unconventional stimulus package. We didn't go for big construction projects, trying to create jobs, because we knew, amongst other things, that those kinds of projects, there will be a considerable lag. But what we did was to really assist the least fortunate, the most vulnerable people in society, so that they have their purchasing power sustained, that they have a degree of confidence to go on with their ordinary lives and therefore sustain the domestic economy as much as they can to compensate for whatever losses the economy took from the drop in exports and tourism. And the expectations of people are no less. They feel that that kind of package can really address their concerns, really matter to their lives. So we launched a program of free education, income support for the elderly. We even had cash handout for low income, and we had a comprehensive training program for the unemployed, who are now actually fast returning to the workforce. And I think by doing that, we have demonstrated that a democratic government needs to respond to what really matters to people's lives. Secondly, this new democratic society needs to pay attention to the idea of reconciliation and inclusiveness. Yes, I inherited a very divisive political scenario, a divisive society, one even argue. But my determination was to reach out, to prove that a democratic government goes beyond thinking about its own power base of its own supporters. That once elected, you have to work for everybody, irrespective of where they live, irrespective of which party they support. And without reconciliation, you could not truly implement policies that would benefit the good of the whole. Because there will be injustice, there will be unfairness, and in the end, it would mean discrimination, and it would likely lead to the bending of various laws. So we made sure that justice, fairness, and inclusive participation is something that should be a characteristic of the new democracy. I'd like to say that you also have a president that has clearly shown that these are the values that should matter to a new generation of politicians. In Thailand, when I talk about reconciliation, this has to be at many levels now, whether the people who wear different color shirts, whether the problems that we have in the southern border provinces, where the Muslim population feels that they have endured too much injustice in the past, and even issues concerning our treatment of our neighboring countries, where there inevitably is tension with countries with long common border with different political and economic systems, Myanmar in the west, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam in the east. I hope that this style of government will set the precedent for subsequent governments, that the importance of engaging people in dialogue, of allowing participation from all sides, has to be part and parcel of a good democratic system. Thirdly, I think in any political system now, there has to be a recognition that our economy or society is now inevitably part of a more integrated global or regional economy and society. For too long we say all politics is local. But if we continue with that myth, we will have an electorate that does not appreciate exactly what forces are driving the factors that matter to their lives. It's time the farmers in Thailand know that the price of their crops is not going to be determined by governments, but by global supply and demand. It's time that the Thai people understand that there is now a limitation on what set of policies the government can adopt, whether because we are restricted by the competitiveness, for instance, in terms of fiscal regimes, or whether because for economic reasons we cannot just determine our interest rate and exchange rate at the same time and remain an open economy. These are the kinds of things that I think the new electorate, a more sophisticated electorate, is needed in a new democracy. And for Thailand also, we are now part of ASEAN, which is trying to move to a single community by the year 2015. An economic community, a single market with almost 600 million people, and also a community that shares common values concerning issues ranging from security to culture. Again, it's not easy to do because, as you know, a lot of political dialogue tends to focus on the local. But we need to make sure that we can move beyond that. Next, a new democratic society must be firmly founded on good governance. Democracy and development is certainly not possible if good governance is lacking. And you could argue that the political situation or the political mess that we got ourselves into is really rooted in the lack of this principle of good governance. Government popularly elected misunderstood that they had a mandate to break the law. That somehow popularity would enable them to put themselves above the law. Again, it is time that a democratic or a maturing democracy like Thailand recognizes that part of a liberal democracy is you have a limited government. That the mandate that you get from the ballot box only covers issues concerning policy. It does not allow you to have a different status vis-à-vis the law. It does not allow you to interfere with the working of other key institutions that support a good democratic system like the media, like the courts, and the rule of law.